Black History Month? Because I remember there was some drumming happening on in February.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Charles Johnson. And as I always thought, I'd let you know something is it is my privilege to be here. I do not take that lightly. I do not. I'm not here to try to be amazing or do what I know or try to be wonderful. And I'm here to let you know that this is what I do, and I have a responsibility to do what I do, and I take privilege in that. So I do not take it lightly. Because again, I want you to know that this process is what's called a collective, not a directive. I am not here to tell you what I know and this and that and that. No. I'm here to talk about what we can learn together and experience together in order for us to combine the use of who we are in order for us to be better as people, a collective people, not a black, not a white, not a male, not a female, not a good, not a bad, a collective. It's about us being able to understand how we use who we are and our strength and what we've all gone through together in order for us to be able to go back and use who we are to help not only ourselves but each other. As I say, until you help yourself, it's very difficult for you to help anyone. You can want to help people, but to help yourself is what we need to start with. We've gone through a lot in this course process that we talked about a lot of things. So today we're going to lay it out, because sometimes you come in here and you think, like the same thing's written up there every week. We talking about, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You've been looking at this every week. Every week you've been sitting, it's up there. I ain't even never told you what it was. And you looking at it every single week. I ain't told you nothing about what it was. Because it's difficult. Because we got to get through the process of it. It had a lot of legs to it. Of some things we did that we're going to go over that you were going over that it just looked like we were having conversation, but we hit on every single one of these. And we're going to talk about how this process works and why it works. What is it affect? What we're doing with this. This group is called relationship building. But I say that to build a relationship, the first relationship always have to exist with self. Once you can have a relationship with yourself, you can have a relationship with somebody else. It's almost like saying, hey, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? You want to know, do you love me? If somebody say, do you love me? You need to ask them this question. Do you love you? Because if you don't love you, nobody can love you, and you can't love nobody else. Because you gotta love you in order for you to receive love or give love. It's as simple as you want to teach me how to swim and you can't swim. But you want to teach me. You want to say, that's good. But if you can't swim, it'll be very difficult to teach somebody how to swim. So when we look at the self and we learn how to do these things for ourselves, call the airplane effect. What does it mean? When you get on the airplane, first thing they tell you is, hey, when the mask comes down, put your mask on first. The reason they tell you to put your mask on first is because you cannot help somebody if you're sitting there dying and struggling in this. You can help a lot of other people once you make yourself healthy. This is not about you being selfish or some kind of narcissist or this. It is about mental health. Mental health. This is not about addressing problems and diagnosis and treatment planning. This is about mental health. And what does that mean? The wellness of the mind. The wellness of the mind, which we don't do. So this process that you've been looking at, well, you see me right up here, these tools, develop skills, create awareness, which is action and change. We done been over this with nauseam, what this thing is. These tools, which is your knowledge and your talent. These skills, which is your lifelong learned ability. This awareness, which is your emotional regulation. You going from 0 to 100, where you feeling your best, you feeling your absolute worst. What is this response and this reaction? And this is the left side of your brain. This is the right side of your brain. And we talked about these things like operant conditioning, classical conditioning. Operant conditioning is reward and punishment. Classical conditioning is Pavlov's dog. Bing, 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 bing. How these things are conditioning the mind to get you to respond or react to something to stop a process called critical thinking. Critical thinking does not mean that you're right. It means that you can look at any process and say, I'm just looking at it through a critical lens to say this. More than one thing can be true at a time. You don't have to say that's absolutely true or that's not absolutely true. So when you're critically thinking, somebody, you can look at it and say, well, I believe this, I believe that, I believe this, I believe that. Doesn't have to be right and you don't have to be wrong. It's critical thinking. We talked about what this process is about, unlearning and unconditioning. What does that mean? In order for you to go anywhere in life, you have to unlearn something. In order for you to unlearn it, the unlearning has to be done before you can uncondition these two things. The operant and classical conditioning that we receive most of our lives. Reward and punishment. You get the A or you get the F. You get the belt or you get the cookie. You get money, housing, cars. You get jail, this, that, the other. So we've been conditioned to seek the reward, avoid the punishment. The classical conditioning is you reacting to a stimulus to get you to do something that you would not already do. If you Navy and you hear bong, 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 it's not a drill, boom. You automatically go in general quarters, but you're not going to ask any questions. You're going to go to your appointed place of duty and do what you were trained to do. A firefighter hit a bell, he hits the thing, go down, he hits the slide, get on the truck, go in the way he go. He's not going to ask himself what kind of fire, is there danger, none of it. He's just going to go. A police officer hit the thing, siren, put on the siren, going right to the spot that he's going to. He's not going to think what's the danger, what's the problem, what's this. So you're conditioned to hear a stimulus and just react to the stimulus. Now, what the difference is this. As we get to certain places in our lives, we do not know how to unring that bell, how to stop that stimulus. We do not know how to do it. So what happens is we'll get in different environments, and when we get certain stimuluses, whether that stimulus is from cell phones, computers, looking at the news, TV, parents, friends, environments, and we get stimulus, we used to call it triggers, we have autonomic reactions to it that create behaviors that we are conditioned to do that are unconscious. It is not a judgment. It is just a behavior that we used to call them, these are patterns, I just can't stop it. That's just who I am. So we talk about this thing called the MRTD. What this thing is really is called the Mind Self Reset Transformation Diagram. Mind self. The whole thing is to get you to see that the mind is the self. It's you. It's what you see in the mirror. It is what you're talking to in the mirror. It's who you done had a conversation with since you were that big in that mirror. That's the mind, that's the self. It's not the brain. The brain is the operating computer. You talking to you, and ain't nobody talking to you in that mirror. We all know that no one's ever seen you in your life. The only one that can see you is you. And what I mean by that, if all of us stood in the mirror, the only one that can see you in that mirror is you. We can see your reflection, but the only one that can see you in that mirror is you. And you've been seeing yourself since you were yay high and having conversation. No one's ever had a conversation with you in your life. And what does that mean? If I asked everybody in this room what I'm saying, you would all tell me something different, because you're only hearing my voice and telling yourself what you think I said and what I'm saying. I'm not talking to you. The only voice in your head talking to you is you. So when someone's saying something, you're hearing it. You're telling yourself what it means, what it says, what it feels. Nobody's in your head whispering and talking to you. That is you. Now, what these processes do, these conditionings do, it get us to believe that it's something outside of us. Right? There's somebody talking to us. No, ain't nobody talking to you. They're just talking. So you have the power to make a decision of what you think about something or what somebody said, because they ain't talking to you. You're talking to you. You got the power to tell you in that mirror what's going on, because, hey, nobody see you. Can't nobody tell you you ugly, you pretty, you beautiful, you smart. Only you can say it, because can't nobody talk to you in that mirror but you. But you're looking at external factors and letting it tell you about you. So this is to uncondition ourselves so that we go through a process. This is the process for us to be able to connect to these tools. These tools is your knowledge and or your talent. When you connect to your knowledge and or your talent, it drives you to your purpose, and you are an unstoppable force. It doesn't matter who you are or what you know, where you come from. It don't matter. We all know this truth. We used to call it a purpose-driven life. When you connect to your purpose, you are doing what you do, and you are not bribed by the outside. You're not looking at things that can tell you, I do this, I like this. You decide what you do, and it doesn't mean that you don't have illness. It doesn't mean that you won't get sick. It doesn't mean that bad things won't happen. The only thing this process is designed to do is put the driver back in the driver's seat. It doesn't mean that the driver's a good driver. It doesn't mean that the driver's never going to have an accident. It doesn't mean that the driver's never going to get a ticket. But it does mean that you're in that car and we are no longer being Waymos. And what does that mean? Somebody else is sending a signal to the car, and you sitting in the side, in the back seat, complaining, a car going too fast, I don't like where it's going, it's in the wrong lane, and you complaining. So now we're getting back in the driver's seat. So what it does is it allows for us to use who we are to make decisions in our lives to help ourselves. The whole goal of this is for us to be able to use these tools and skills to use resources. And to use these tools and skills in order for us to be able to make connections with others, so we'll be able to use this to change the things we see around, command our environment without the environment commanding us. So what do we learned in these weeks? You know, while we were sitting up here looking at this, and I keep going over this over and over and over and over and over again, over and over again. You know, we talked about, we started off with this thing called emotional regulation. This is emotional regulation right here. You're going from 0 to 100. We know that 75 to 0 is the left side of your brain. The 75 to 100 is the right side of your brain. Emotional regulation is the tool that is used for these to control the brain. Meaning that you're feeling good, you're feeling bad. You got the feelings. I like it, I don't like it. I'm on a good day, I'm on a bad day. I'm on a good day, I'm on a bad day. I feel good, I feel bad, until it becomes an attitude. An attitude is your fixed, held set of beliefs. You believe it so much that if anybody challenges it, you got the right to kill them. And I mean that, right? So let's say if you in the military, our core value is what? Freedom. We fighting for freedom, right? Fighting and killing for freedom, right? You could be in certain countries, they fighting and killing for what? Religion, right? Fighting and killing for religion. You come from a certain culture, maybe, street or wherever, or conservation, they might be fighting and killing for respect. If you disrespected, you can kill, you can fight and kill for it. So whatever your values may be, that value could be finance. You mess with my money, I'll kill you. You messing with my money here. Mine was education. You call me stupid, I would have a fit. So it doesn't matter. It's just protecting a fixed, held set of beliefs. So we had to understand that this emotional regulation is what we had to use to gain something. We had to gain this awareness of it. And what that meant is this. This is not about you controlling this. This is not about this not happening. This is about you gaining aware of how you feel. I'm feeling my best, and know that you are okay, that you are all right. You got every right to feel your best or feel your worst, and you still good. You are still just fine. If you sit here and kick your foot on that chair, you ain't supposed to walk around, I kicked my foot on the chair, I'm so happy. No, it might hurt if you ain't got no shoes on, kick your foot on that chair. But just because it hurt, you shouldn't be blaming the chair. You should say, hey, I kicked my foot on the chair, and man, let me see if I get over this. Your stomach hurt. You should not be walking around smiling, oh man, I'm feeling great, my stomach hurt. No, you don't feel well, but you shouldn't be saying, life is over because my stomach's hurting, No, you don't feel well today. So if you're feeling your absolute best, oh, I'm feeling great, I hit the lottery, that's no reason for you to give up everything in your life and not do anything and not help anybody and just stay in because you're feeling your best. I'm amazing. I'm so amazing. Whether you're feeling your best or feeling your work, you still are you. And you got a right to feel your best and feel your worst. Because when you have awareness, you can gain balance. It's not about being Mother Teresa or the Pope, right? Because whether they feeling their best or feeling their worst, you cannot make them happy and you cannot make them sad. There's no way to influence them because they have 100% emotional regulation because you can't condition them to. Neither one of them can be conditioned. So I don't care if they're in the worst, poorest place on the earth or whether they're in the mansions and castles of the Vatican, they will be the exact same, because they are not conditioned to respond or react to anything. You cannot walk up to them and just call them names and make them angry, or give them a gift and make them happy. It'll never happen because they're conditioned. Now, we're not asking, I'm not saying to be that. I'm saying that our job is to gain awareness of it so that when it happens, we don't react and respond to it and we think about it. What we used to do. We were all trained, most of us in here who of any age, we were trained in critical thinking. What that means, they gave you a concept, an idea, and looked at what you thought about it. And then as you think about it, then, we banter it about, and you agreed here, and I agreed there, and you think this, and I think that, and we could come to different understanding and conclusions instead of, I'm right, you wrong, I know everything, you don't know nothing, blah, 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 and therefore, you get your camp, I get my camp, she gets her camp, he gets it, and now we are just against each other, and all we're doing is fighting and arguing all day. Instead of us collectively saying, ain't none of us got to be right because the problem still is the problem, and we need to collectively bring everybody to the table in order to solve this. We know for a fact that what I'm talking about is absolutely true because this is the process of the United States military. It brings all of the resources together in order for us to go and collectively, coming from different environments, achieve a common goal. When you go to boot camp, the first thing, they're going to challenge your beliefs in boot camp. Don't nobody care where you came from, what you think. Nobody care. How you feel in there, you don't control them feelings. They don't care. You have a good day? We're going to stop because you have a good day or bad day. Nobody's going to ask them questions. Nobody. They're going to acknowledge your emotions. Hey, hey, you feeling sad, happy, this, that. You can acknowledge it, but it won't change the facts of what we got to do there. And you'll never graduate if you do not change your attitude. Your attitude, your fixed held set of beliefs. If you cannot change it, you will not graduate from recruit training. You will not graduate. But once you do graduate from recruit training, what does that mean? That means that you can go to any place. You can show up as a Marine. You can show up as an airman. You can show up as a soldier. You can show up as a sailor. And you can say, hey, I'm here to learn something brand new in my life. I may come from Iowa, but I'm ready to drive that tank. I might come from Mississippi, but I want to be on that sub. I come from New York, but I want to be able to work with those drones. I come from this area, but I want to be able to do this on this aircraft carrier. I want to do this, but I want to be a sniper as a Marine. Because you are ready to learn something new because this process has helped you unlearn and uncondition yourself from where you came from. We all went through it. Every single one of us. And that's what recruit training is about. So let's talk about how this process has changed. Because as we go forward, right, what happens is we become very successful in our lives. We graduate from college, we buy houses, we get married, we have relationships, we got kids, we got grown kids, we got nice cars, we got this. We have some challenges in our lives. Health challenges, financial challenges. And what happens is we use what we got and what we know to stay where we are. So when something happens that can help us, or a resource come along that can help us, we can't use it because we can't get out of this. Because we're so conditioned, now we want to hold on because my house, I need to make sure I got a house. I need to make sure I got this car. I need to make sure I got this money. I need to make sure I got this. But what we can't do is unlearn this, which allows us to see resources so we can always use the big picture and see what all the resources are. So we learn this emotional regulation. we talked about coping skills, right? Because it started off, people talking about, hey, what's your coping skills? I asked them, what's your coping skills? They told me I use meditation, I ride bikes, I read books, I like to listen to music, I do all those things. And you know what I write on that board, right? Anybody know what I write up there? Ain't never some lies. Why is it a bunch of lies? Let me tell you why. Because most of our coping skills are what? Alcohol, drugs, sex, violence, emotional assault, psychological assault. Those were our coping skills. That's what we did. That's what we used as our coping skills. So when you dysregulated me, when I went there, I used one of those. But I called them my rewards. That's how I was rewarded, right? I was rewarded with those things. The more violent I was, that wasn't frowned upon in the military I grew up in. The more you went out there and you go out there and drink, you were like, hey, he can hold his liquor. You had to go out there and try to meet them women. Look at him, he got a bunch of girlfriends, easy. So you were rewarded for those behaviors. You were not frowned upon for those behaviors. So they became my rewards, but they became my coping skills. Coping skills. So I had to understand what an unhealthy coping skill was. My thoughts. My thoughts is really tough because your thoughts are about what you think about you when you are looking at you in that mirror. That's your thoughts. What you say to you when you're looking in the mirror. Not what somebody else is talking about, is what you say to you. And whatever you saying to you in that mirror, they determine your thoughts. Me, my thoughts in the mirror, no matter what I achieved, because I'm dealing with this dyslexia, these things. Every time I looked in the mirror, I told myself I'm nothing but an idiot and a moron. You're stupid. You always be stupid in your life. There ain't nobody talking to me. That's me. I tried top food chain, military. I got 5-6 degrees. I do all these things. But every time I get in that mirror, I tell myself, you know, you're stupid. You're still stupid. And I go out and get another degree. I go out and get another degree. But it's no different than anybody else. A guy who got hundreds of billions of dollars, but still got to go out and try to make some more money because he can't see how to use that hundreds of billions of dollars he got. Can't use it. So he want to become the first trillionaire. The guy who's the most powerful man in the world, but all you can see is instead of how to use power to help somebody, all you can see is how to bully somebody, get mad, and be thin-skinned, because the power cannot be used by them because of their thoughts of who they are. So it doesn't mean nothing to you. Like I had all those degrees, but I couldn't help nobody because I couldn't help myself. Since I couldn't help myself, I couldn't help nobody. So until I helped me, then all those degrees could flow through me in purpose and help somebody else. So now what people think about me is totally irrelevant. My goal, my purpose in life is to help you. You don't owe me nothing. You don't owe me a thing. I have responsibility. Yeah. You ain't got one of me. You ain't got no responsibility. I got something I'm supposed to do. And that's my purpose, and I'm supposed to do it, and that's why I do it. Because it's my purpose, and it ain't got nothing to do with what you do or what you think about me. Where before, I would be thinking, ooh, do they think I'm smart? Do they think I'm dumb? Do they think they like me? Do they don't like me? What do they think? Now, what do you think, I'm smart or dumb? Or I misspelled something, or my bad handwriting or nothing? Good to me. I'm good. Because I know in a process, we're here. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. So since I don't have any judgment for me, it doesn't matter what someone else thinking, because the judgment they have really don't affect me. Because I ain't got nothing for me. So it changes how I do things. And we couldn't do that until we addressed the thoughts. We went through a process where we addressed our thoughts. The thoughts are what you say to you. These things create something called an irrational thought. An irrational thought is something that you say to you about you that is not true. And you can't, and that's something that creates a belief, and you got to challenge it, right? Boundaries. We learn through this process that boundaries, setting boundaries, they are not external, they're internal. Boundaries are not for others, Boundaries are for you. Boundaries are your boundaries that you set that you don't go across, not others. Others cannot cross your boundaries. Only you worried about you crossing your boundaries. It's for you. You set your boundary. I'm gonna do this. My boundaries is I'm only gonna spend $60 if I go to this thing here. If you go there and spend $200, you cross your own boundary. If my boundaries is I'm only gonna do this, I'm gonna have 2 drinks. You cross your own boundaries. If you're setting your boundaries are for you, other people cannot cross your boundaries. Boundaries are to keep you, the you that you say you are. Now, if you do cross your boundary, all you have to do is gain awareness that it happened and not beat yourself to death about it. Just gain awareness that it happened and not beat yourself up. But the boundaries are for you. So nobody else has the power to cross your boundaries. You set your boundaries. So nobody can cross them because they're yours. How they gonna cross your boundaries? They're you. Right? So what this is empowering us to be who we are. Right? Be who we are. Right? So now we're talking about this thing called communication. Very difficult. Very difficult. Very difficult. The reason it's so far down is because if you don't get learning through this, you'll think communication is me talking to you and you talking to me. But I already told you that ain't nobody talking to you. Ain't nobody talking to you. You talking. You just hearing my voice. If ain't nobody talking to you, how do we do this thing called communication? How do we do it? Because communication is 90% nonverbal. That's why. It's 90% nonverbal. Everything you do is communication. The way you dress, the way you walk, the way you sit, how you look, what your eyes do, everything, head tilt, everything you do is communication. How you move your hands, everything you do. So only 10% of it is verbal, and that don't matter either because it's really what you say. So when we are communicating, this is what communication is. Communication is you having the right to speak your voice. And me having the right to speak my voice, and communication happens there. It is not me to you. That's a transaction. That's back and forth. That's not a communication. Communication is you speaking your voice, you speaking your voice, you speaking your voice, and I speaking my voice, and communication happened there. And we know this is true because if we looked at, let's say we looked at a play, we're looking at Shakespeare, right? We're looking at Shakespeare, and we're looking at all of the art, all of the actors in the play, right? We're looking at the actors in the play. If you looked at the play, none of those actors in the play are reacting or responding to each other. They're all saying their own individual lines. Why? Why did they do that? What are they communicating with their own individual lines? What are the actors communicating? I'll answer that question. They're communicating the message from the author. You're not looking at the actor, you're looking at the message from the author. So if you're looking at the individual actor, you're missing what the author is trying to tell you. Because the only way you can figure out what the author said is put all the people together and you get the message from the author. But if you're looking at an individual, you ain't gonna get the message from the author. Oh, I really like what Caprini was saying. I really like Bob Anthony. But you got to look at the whole thing together to understand the message from Shakespeare. That's communication. So you can look at the whole play and you never knew what the author was talking about because you were sitting up there looking at individuals because you couldn't put it together because you thinking they talking to you and you can't get the message from the author. That's communication. So communication is not about me to you. Communication is you speaking your voice, I'm speaking my voice, you speaking his voice, you're speaking his voice, and the communication happens there. So we look at the message and we say, okay, what's being communicated here? What's being communicated? If we walked in the house, this is a fictitious thing. You walk in the house, you got 4 or 5 kids in the house, and they're hollering, screaming, and this and that going on. You got to look at everything going on to find out what's going on there, right? Can you look at any one of them and think that that's what's happening now? No, you're going to have to look at everything, right? So if you look at one action, a military action, and say they did this and they did that and that, no, you're looking at the whole military mission and plan, right? Because they only did that to get a response out of this. They did that to get a, that ain't got nothing to do with the mission and the plan. The mission is what's being communicated from the Pentagon. These are just reactions and responses. But the mission, we got to communicate this of what we need to do and how we need to do it. Get that? So if somebody went on a mission and you got a couple of people and they got injured or hurt, does that change the mission? It does not. It does not. You're still going to communicate what we need to do. Now, we could say, hey, it's not good that somebody got hurt this, or we can adjust a plan to try to reduce casualties or whatever. But the mission is what we got to communicate. And when people don't understand the mission and what you got to do, then you have a bunch of miscommunications. So when you go home and they say, oh, well, you know something? You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. What they're really saying is, you're not reacting or responding to me. Because when you speak in your voice, you speak it any way you can, any way you want to. If somebody's going in the house and there are two people talking to each other in the house together, oh, they're 100% communicating whether that person says something or not. Am I correct about that? Isn't not speaking to somebody still communicating? Right? The way you sit, leave it, everything you do communicates something, right? How you eat with it. So that person is communicating to you. So it doesn't matter. We understand that you don't have to tell me this or tell me that. Because if you got a little baby, right? Little baby there, and that baby is 9 months old, is they talking to you, tell you how they feel? What's going on with them? But everything about them is being communicated to you, and you right on top of all of it. You know exactly what's going on with them because you are looking at them and you are into with them. So when we start talking about the things of communication, we have to take it out of the reaction and response and back in the critical thinking, meaning that what is this message and what do I need? Because the message is what's so difficult for us to think about because it may not be something we know. It may not be something we understand. It's always something we got to interpret. But if we are sitting up here looking at individuals and responding and reacting to them, what happens is we always get into this miscommunication, which shuts it down. It shuts down us reacting to each other and being able to connect with each other with this miscommunication. Unhealthy habits. Unhealthy habits are the things that because of these conditionings right here, that you do over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter what the consequences was to that action. So if that action has a consequence that was negative and you keep doing it over and over again, it is an unhealthy habit. And trying to control this unhealthy habit must go through this process right here to create that change in you, for you to be able to recognize that and challenge this only in yourself. Can't nobody tell you to stop that because they don't know why it is. So when I tell somebody, you know, when you've been conditioned to something and they say, well, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to help you uncondition yourself. How can I do it? I can't do it. The reason I can't do it, no matter all my great degrees and knowledge, the reason I can't do it, because I don't know how you got conditioned in the first place. How am I going to uncondition you? How? How am I going to tell you what your reward and punishment when I don't even know what happened to you when you was 5 and 6 and 7 and 8? How am I going to tell you that? How am I going to know what happened to you internally, what stimulus that people use in your life? And how? When I don't even know how it got put into you. So this process, which is one of the most difficult processes, it gets you to something called acceptance. And acceptance means you got to look at you and see you and accept who you are. It is not indifference. Indifference means you look at yourself and you get satisfied with your present set of circumstances. You say, this is who I am. This is what's going on. This is how it is. Acceptance means that I can see me and take the judgment out of me, meaning that I'm not looking at me and I got to be a smart me, a successful me, a stupid me, a pretty me, a ugly me. So what I'm saying is, if you're in the mirror and you tell yourself that you're smart, then tell yourself you're stupid. If you're in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful, then tell yourself you're ugly. If you're in the mirror and tell yourself that you're the smartest person, tell yourself you're an idiot. If you in the mirror tell yourself successful, then tell yourself you're a failure. Because every single one of those words is a judgment. And the reason why they are so bad is because of this. If you're beautiful today, guess what I can tell you tomorrow? Ugly. If you're smart today and brilliant today, guess what I can tell you? You're an idiot. If you're successful today, and I tell them I'm so successful, guess what I can tell you tomorrow? You're a loser. You're a failure. As long as I have the metrics and I take the control and you get that to me of the success failure, this, then I'm controlling how you thinking and what's going on with you and what's happening with this right here. Stress, trauma, responses. Stress, trauma, responses is your right for you to feel the way you do and not blame yourself or anyone else for the things that have happened to you. It's a reason that this is right in front of forgiveness. Stress, trauma is right in front of forgiveness. Because these two work together. Stress, trauma, the things that we think about in our mind that we went through, we call them traumas. We're usually sitting in there unconscious. We done block them away, things that we think that happened to us that we don't like. We call them bad events and all these stresses and trauma. When I think about it, stress me out. I don't mess with it. I don't like that what happened to me. People did bad things to me, X, Y, Z. Stress, trauma. But then we turn like, I want to learn to forgive people. Forgiveness is not for others. Forgiveness is for the self. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for you to be able to look at you and know that you are right. Forgiveness is for you, not for you to forgive somebody else. You cannot forgive others. You can only forgive yourself. Anybody who's religious here, you know, if you're religious at all, you know, when that guy Jesus Christ came through, they called him the Redeemer. What was his job? To forgive sins. His job was to forgive sins. Right? Not yours. His job was to forgive sins. Your job is to forgive you. Forgive you. If somebody has done something, did you wrong or whatever, you need to forgive yourself, because that person has to deal with their own actions. Because if they never learn to forgive themselves, no matter what you tell them, you can't forgive them. They have to forgive themselves. They got to do it. You have to forgive you. And what you're forgiving is this, the stress trauma, because this goes into all of this. This triggers those thoughts that's in your head that's irrational, that makes you have those unhealthy habits, because you are punishing yourself because you don't like what happened to you, and you blaming yourself for putting yourself in a situation for what happened to you. I wouldn't be here if I ain't lost all that money. I wouldn't gonna do this if I did better than this. If I wouldn't have been drinking, that accident wouldn't have happened. If I did this, this would have been better. You are blaming yourself. So what that does is it doesn't allow you to be your best self today. So in this process, remember, these things are all about here, still, awareness. We're only becoming aware of what's happening here. And the whole thing is to get here to what? Support the self. What does that mean? That means with all of these things go on, when you look in that mirror, who supports you? It's got to be you. It's gotta be you. When you support you, it doesn't mean that you're amazing. It doesn't. What it means is you're able to use your lifelong, the skills, which is everything you've learned in your life, your lifelong experience, your tools, which is your talent and your knowledge, and they can be driven by your mind to go accomplish something. to go accomplish something because you won't be judging yourself. You won't. You'll just be out there doing what you do, the way you do it. That don't mean things won't happen, but it won't be about you. And you can accomplish almost anything. But once you can do that, the goal of this is you'll be able to have a relationship. Because once you establish this, you can have a relationship with yourself. And once you can have a relationship with yourself, you can have it with other people and not transactions. It's back to what I said about that love. Once you get this and you love yourself, you can love other people and other people can love you. I will tell you this. It's just me. Just me, my opinion. My life is amazing. It's amazing. You know what? As I say, I love me some me. I love me some me. And I ain't saying that there's no narcissist or nothing. I'm saying that because I love me some me. And in my mind, everybody loves me. You know why? Because I think everybody's amazing. Because I think they're amazing. I think people are amazing. I didn't used to. I think people had a lot of problems. Now I think they're amazing. I think they're amazing because I think I'm amazing. I think I am amazing. So now I see everything as an opportunity for me to connect with others and to build off of all of these relationships with people, human beings. It's taught me this. Never value anything that cannot value you. If it cannot value you, why do you value it? How would you do it if it can't value you? And this process allows you to learn to value things that can value you. The first thing you got to value is who? Yourself. And once you start valuing yourself, you're going to value other people. Then they're going to value you. And next thing you know, you're going to start building what? Relationships. And you're going to be able to do these things. You're going to be able to control your thoughts, use proper coping skills, have emotional regulations, set them internalized boundaries, communicate, control your unhealthy habits. Don't mean you ain't never going to make no mistakes. Understand and recognize your stress traumas, but know that you don't forgive yourself because you didn't create everything that happened in your life, that you got to keep moving in life because you're here to help other people, and that ain't going to change something that didn't happen to you that was not something that you liked. But you can still move on because we know this process is about, at the end, change. The action of change. The action of change. The reason I write that up because I don't want to write this word up here. Goals. The reason I don't write goals up there is because I'm not a big goals person. Because goals are kind of limiting. Because once you achieve your goals, what you do then? What you do then once you achieve your goals?
Make new goals.
But if you just being the best you, do you need any goals?
That is the goal.
That is the goal. The action of change is continuous. It's continuous, right? The action of change is continuous. You know how you used to say in the military? They say, if you stay ready, you ain't never got to get ready. The goal ain't to get ready. The goal is to stay ready. The goal is to get to this self. But going through this MRTD, which is the Mind Self Reset Transformation Diagram, this is designed. It's a really difficult process because it's designed for you to take a walk to the self. Every person, every human being, this applies differently to. So nobody has the same walk. And that's the beauty of it. Because once you can see what your walk is and learn to forgive you and do those things, you know others can do it for them. But you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it for them. They need to do it for them. They need to understand their conditioning. They need to know what their opposite and classical conditioning is. You can't challenge their beliefs. Only they can. Only they can. You cannot control their feelings. Only they can. You cannot acknowledge their emotions. Only they can. You cannot change their attitude. Only they can. Remember back in the day, they used to tell, but you take this belt and whip you with it, they're going to change your attitude. Did that change anybody's attitude? Anybody think getting a whipping or something changed your attitude? Did it? How do we know corporal punishment and stuff don't work? How do we know? I can guarantee you this. Go make a survey of everybody sitting right now in prison and see whether or not they got whippings and beatings and stuff. And ask how much did it work. I guarantee you the percentage of people that got corporal punishment is very, 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 very high. Didn't change a thing. Didn't change the behavior. Didn't change the belief. Didn't change the attitude. Didn't change nothing. Didn't change nothing. If that's what the case, if corporal punishment worked, if fear worked, we'd be using it in the military still. We still be, because back in the day, we used to use fear, right? It was a fear kind of stuff in the military. But when the American military really changed around, it was like it was after Nam. We really learned a lot after Vietnam. We changed all our leadership structure after Vietnam. We went to this after Nam. We went to this, which is a leadership model after Nam. Because what happened is saying we need to use everybody and we need to allow everybody to be part of the team and grow and allow them to help us accomplish this mission. And we can't do it through fear. Now, there are nations around the world that lead through fear, right? They lead through fear of their populations. They lead through fear. Is that nation ever really going to be on top? Never. Never. Because what you're afraid of, sooner or later, you'll either find a way to destroy it or you're going to reject it if it's using something to make you afraid of it. I don't care how bad or tough someone thinks they are. If they are using a fear-based model, sooner or later, something will come back at that and they will go after it. It's just like someone who's afraid of spiders, right? So if you see somebody and they're afraid of spiders and a spider come in the house, they'll say, "Spider!" and step on the spider just like that. "Spider!" and just kill it. But if somebody, yes, ma'am.
There's a whole religion based on that. Like, people think that when you say that you're God-fearing, that you're a good person.
Correct. Correct.
I don't understand that.
Well, I'm not here to tell somebody what they think religious-wise. You know, because those doctrines are for others to judge how they want to participate, what it means to them. I'm not going to tell anybody about their religious doctrine. As I say, I'm not a doctor of religion. I'm not a doctor of the brain. I'm not a doctor of the body. No, I deal with nothing but the mind, the self. That's all I deal with.
So is that a belief that needs to be challenged?
What do you mean?
The idea that if you fear something, that makes you a good person.
I can't tell you that because I don't know what that means to somebody. You see what I'm saying? Saying you fear something that makes you a good person. If you ask me my personal opinion, no, don't make no sense. But you know, how would I know what they mean by it? Maybe I don't know the context, right? Because I don't see how fearing anything makes you good. You shouldn't fear anything. You should be a part of your environment. You should never fear your environment. You should be a part of people. You should not fear people. You should not fear anything. You should be a part of it. The zebra don't fear the lion. They respect the lion. They don't think the lion's a good or bad lion. They know it's a lion.
Respect is the thing.
They don't fear that lion. They respect it. They respect the hyena. They respect the cheetah. They respect them. They don't expect they're good or bad. They respect them. They don't have a fear. They don't teach you, you better be scared of that lion. No, they got to be good zebras. They can't change. They can't control the behavior of that lion. They ain't doing nothing with that lion right there. That lion just being a lion. They ain't scared of that lion. They just make sure you being the best zebra you can be. You got to be a little cautious around lion like these zebras. But that's not a fear. That's not fear. See what I'm saying? Fear is an internal emotion that locks in a belief that will make you reactionary to it. This is fear. It locks in something that makes you not be able to challenge it or critically think about it. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. Nothing. Shouldn't fear nothing. In my opinion, you shouldn't fear anything. Because this is, when you start dealing with the mind and the self, one thing, can't nobody tell you who you are. You'll never hear me talk about what's wrong with you, what you're going through, X, Y, and Z. I always look at it through a generic lens of this is what we all go through. As I say in this process right here, with this MRTD, it has to apply to everybody. It's as simple as 2 + 2 has got to equal 4. This is not about an individual. This is about a process. And if the process don't work, we have to look at it through a collective and see, how do we change it? How do we make it better? What do we need to do? So I'm not interested in being right. I'm interested in doing something that helps with all of us. I needed it. I would not be standing here today doing what I'm doing if I didn't go through this. I wasn't able to help myself. I just wasn't able to do it. So until I could face myself, challenge my own beliefs about me, control my feelings about it, acknowledge my emotions, the triggers in my head that made me act the way I did, that made me act like I'm angry, mad, this, that, the other, acknowledge those things, and change my attitude, which means that I no longer believe that about me as a fixed-held set of beliefs. So now you could teach me something new. I could learn from you. No matter what all my education degrees, this, that, the problem that I was having is nobody could help me. No one. So no matter what you did, if you use a real estate agent, I'd be like, I already know how to buy that house. I got a house already. I know how to buy that house. You got to tell me about it. You got to tell me about it. I already know how to do it. You might be brilliant about how to. Oh, don't worry about it. I know how to do it. I know what I'm talking about. I don't need that. I can do this. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I was blocked from being helped by anybody by my own thoughts about me, my own insecurity. Does that make sense? So when you're really internally, let's say you're really fearful. Let's say you feel like you're weak on the inside. You're going to become a bully on the outside. Let's say if you look at yourself and you think that you're telling yourself that you're not beautiful, you're ugly or whatever, you're going to constantly be criticizing others their looks. That's all you're going to be doing, tearing them apart, their looks, tearing them apart. If you feel like you're really weak, or you can be telling others, you're so scary, you weak, you just not. You're just projecting what's in you. If I knew that, when you came up to me, I was going to use my knowledge and stuff to tell you how stupid you were. You don't know nothing. I got all these degrees. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know this. You don't know that. You don't know this. And I'm going to start talking about Freud and Dostoevsky and they're going to Kierkegaard and Camus and Sartre and take you down the road and try to confuse you as much as I can, because I'm really afraid for me. Because if I really respected who you are and intelligent, I'm able to talk to you and communicate, and I'm able to put that out there as a communication thing, not concerned about, whether you think I'm smart or this or that or the other. I'm able to communicate the message. And if you say you don't understand it or you say it don't work, then I need to either explain it or I need to change it. Does that make sense? It ain't got nothing to do with me. You don't. It's something that got to work for us. And collectively, this process is about us being able to help each other. That's all it's about. That's all. Because as we take this walk to the self, if everybody do it, just think about how much better we'll be as people when we're not walking around here reacting and responding to everything we see and hear. every little thing that's making us upset and angry every day, every little thing that makes us afraid every little day, every little thing that makes us think that this is that and this is that, instead of saying, this might be true, but I can think about it in this way. And I can look at this person over there, even if they're ranting and raving over there, you know, like ranting and raving and talking about something. First thing I know is they ain't talking to me. I had a situation this morning, went to a group this morning, where a guy, and you don't know who it is, I'm just gonna give you an example of what happened this morning. He walked in the room. It was the art group, and I went down there being the clinical guy. And he walked in the room and he looked at me and says, "Oh, I know you're a problem. I know you're a problem. You ought to get me. You ought to get me. I know you ought to get me," and this and that. I immediately knew something was up with him. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So I'm like, okay. So now, okay, what do I need to do here? Now there's a bunch of other people in there. So what do I need to do about that? So I'm like, okay. First thing I need to do is realize it ain't about me. What's going on with him ain't got nothing to do with me. So I said, "Well, how you doing today?" As soon as I realized he was totally dysfunctional in what he was saying, now I knew the communication couldn't happen as far as in me trying to de-escalate. So I had to allow for whatever his process was for him to go through it. And mine was to back out of it. Hey, okay. Have at it. Let's do what you got to do and let that be over there until whatever was in his mind kind of calmed down in his own mind without me responding and reacting to anything he said or did. Yeah, it took 20 minutes of him saying things and snarling and doing this, but after about 20 minutes, he had calmed down and he was doing his art project. What would have happened if I engaged that guy?
Escalated.
He would have escalated out of control. Or if I thought he was talking bad to me or disrespecting me. Are you understanding what it does now? I had a responsibility to him. He didn't have one to me. See the difference? He wasn't doing anything to me. Even though in the room, he was pointing at me, talking about me, telling me I was this and that and that. But was he really talking to me?
He was talking to himself.
He was talking to himself. He sure was. But there are people you say that to, say, "Hey, you talking to like that? We talking to you like that? What you saying? What are you talking to me like that for?" So what happens is we lose the ability to see that person through a lens of humanity. So instead of the police being called and it escalated out of control, he was able to do his art project and go back and take his meds like he should have. Because he was just dysregulated, because he hadn't taken his proper medication. See the difference? There's somebody getting arrested that day. It works. It matters. And it works for all of us, not just for me. Anybody got any questions for me? You got any questions for me? What a studious group.
What a thorough presentation.
Well, as you can tell, I do this a lot. I'm very, very passionate about this. There's a lot to this, a lot. But it's a need, in my opinion. And as we go through this and work together on this, I expect for us to be able to use this in many different ways. Not here today because of who we are and what we're doing in here right now. Because I do this in a lot of different places. Sometimes I'll have 30, 40 people in the group. Doesn't matter. It'll always still be the same. Because I'm really not talking about who should. This got to stand on its own. Everywhere that it goes. Make sense? Well, I'm talking in front of billionaires, CEOs, or whether I'm down there at the mission with people who are housing insecure. This has to stand on its own. Or whether I'm in the jails talking to people who are dealing with incarceration. That's still got to stand on its own. Make sense? It can't look at one group of people, whether I was in Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Compton, or Watts. It's still got to stand on its own. If I'm in the Valley or in Encino or in Calabasas or this or Pacoima, it's got to stand on its own. It's no different than looking at a math project, a math process. Algebra is algebra. Geometry is geometry. And when, no matter where you go in this nation, when you go into a geometry class, is it any different? It's not. It is a process. And once you learn it, you can use it, right? You can understand it and use it. Same thing. So this is a process. It's not about a person. It's not about a person. And if the process needs adjustment, it can be adjusted. Different people with different experiences are going to have different things that they plug and play in here to be able to use it. So when you see me here week to week to week, I never really change it because this is not for you to know. This is for you to be able to look at it and start thinking, how do I do this? How do I apply this? How does this apply to me? It is not for you to understand this and know, because there's a lot behind this. This is a process that we're all learning. And we don't expect you to come in there and know it all at one time, because you done seen me once or twice or 3 times or 4 times or 5 times or 6 times, when I'm dealing off of 30 years of education and knowledge to put this stuff up. Does it make sense? But it's still got to work, and that's why I'm looking for to make sure that what we do in here works for you. As I said again, my name is Charles Johnson, and thank you for your time today. Thank you.